Hey, yo, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy Action Jackson. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about Mel Kiper releasing his final mock draft right before the NFL draft, and he has us making a move for a defensive player in this year's draft. So before we make the video, I would appreciate if you guys like the video, subscribe if you're new, comment, and share my video with anyone who you think will enjoy my content. Typically around this time, right about a few days before the NFL draft, I don't really try to look into too much articles and look into what some of the consensus people are saying, whether like the Todd McShays, the Dane Bruglers, or the Mel Kipers, only because, GMs and front office members of these teams can be telling, the Mel Kipers, the Todd McShays, the Dane Bruglers, hey, this is what we're possibly looking at. So when you put in your final mock draft, these guys, they look right when they're putting it on their publication sites, right? So, for example, Washington, they've been mocked defenders all the way up until this point. Now they're getting mocked Cardinal Tate. They take them at 7. Caleb Downs is being mocked to the Giants at 5. Jeremiah Love is being mocked to Tennessee at 4. Arvell Reese is being mocked to the Cardinals at 3. David Bailey is going 2 to the Jets. Fernando Mendoza, write that in pen, he's going to the Vegas Raiders. But the trade that Mel Kiper had us doing, Tom McShay, Dane Brugler, they have a lot of us trading up with players in this draft or with other teams in this draft to go get some of the Ohio State defenders or Ruben Bain or something of that sort. We're talking about Mel Kiper. Mel Kiper had us trade up with the Cleveland Browns, and the proverbial trade, or the trade that has been popular, is that first the Browns, they want to move out of 6. That's what the internet has been saying from Cleveland publications and Dallas publications. They're thinking that the Dallas Cowboys want to trade up as well. Cleveland, in this mock draft, in this trade, they were willing to give us pick 6, pick 39 in exchange for pick 12 and pick 20. Now, again, this is what McCopper is saying, but something I do want to touch on real quick when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, because again, they is my baby. So look, the Dallas Cowboys, I don't know if they necessarily want to give up pick 20, and the only reason why I'm saying that is because if we think about how cheap the Dallas Cowboys are, they would rather have as many 5-year option players as they possibly can. They'd rather have as many 5-year option rookies than they would 4-year option rookies. So that's something else that you need to think about with the Dallas Cowboys. How far are they willing to trade up for a player? Now, for me, I'm willing to give up, pick 12 and 20 as long as I'm getting something back in return. I am willing to move up for 4 players. I talked about them before when I talked about with David Bailey. There's 4 defenders I'm willing to make up and make a move for. That is Ruben Bain out of Miami, David Bailey out of Texas Tech, Arvell Reese out of O State, and Caleb Downs out of O State. Those are the only 4 guys I'm willing to trade up for. Sonny Styles is definitely somebody I won't mind trading up for, but I don't know if I'll trade up 6 spots to get him. Now, everyone and their mother knows that the Dallas Cowboys need an inside linebacker, so it's not really a shocker that Mel Kiper had us taking Sonny Styles at 6, but for us to give up 12 and 20 to get him, I don't know if that actually happens in real life. But again, we're going to see how the board really falls. You know what I mean? Like, if there's, let's just say, the Cardinals, they take offensive lineman. Bailey goes to he goes either Bain or Reese. They go, not Bain, but if Bailey or Reese goes number 2 to the Jets, let's say the Titans, they do take a wide receiver. Let's say they take Cardinal Tate. If there's that many, offensive players going that far or going that fast in the first 4 picks, or, like in the first 4 picks, if there's only one defender being taken, and by the time you get to the Giants, they have a pick of the litter of like Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, the corners in McCoy or Delane. Speaking about McCoy, further teams did research and found out he has a degenerative knee. So but hearing about it a lot from Brian Broaddus, it's like that similar situation when he drafted Jeremiah Trotter back with the Eagles. It was either he could play for 10 months or he could play for 10 years. So I think Jamal McCoy might fall down the board. He might be an early second-round player, but I don't see him being taken in the first round, especially not in the top 20. I could see him anywhere from the mid to late first round, but I don't see him being taken that high, in my opinion. But either which way, the Giants are going to have a pick of the litter when it comes to defenders. And then by the time you get to 6, and if Cleveland is not going to take Monroe Freeling, I think they're possibly going to want to trade back with the Dallas Cowboys if they can get 12 and 20, and then they kick us back 6 and 39, and then I think the Dallas Cowboys will be fine with that. But again, you also think about the Dallas Cowboys might want to keep 20. They might be more willing to move 20 down later in the first round to pick up an extra, second round capital or whatever the case might be. But I don't know if they're going to trade up for a player. And the only reason why I'm saying I don't know if they'll trade up for a player is because how you do one thing is how you do everything when it comes in life, but especially the Dallas Cowboys. I don't see a way in which the Dallas Cowboys, they're afraid to kick a couple extra million to secure a guy like Nakobe Dean. But you're telling me they're willing to give up draft capital to move up for a player who's around my age, because I'm 23. You traded for Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, they're all in their early 20s, and you're going to trust in early 20-year-olds to come again. Early 20-year-olds to come and save a problem that's been going on for 30 plus years. That's just unrealistic expectations to put on some of these players. But that's what the Dallas Cowboys do anyway. But it's just something that we need to look at. So continuing on with the mock, from pick 39 via Cleveland, we did end up taking defensive end out of Clemson, TJ Parker. If in this hypothetical, if you got Sonny Styles Thursday night and on to early start on Friday, you got TJ Parker, I don't think that is a terrible move by the Dallas Cowboys, because I think you fixed your inside linebacker spot for sure. But Sonny Styles does not stop me from either trading for a linebacker or signing a vet linebacker like Bobby Wagner or Bobby Okereke. And you get a TJ Parker, he'll easily, right now, would be your best pass rushing defensive end on paper. But we said that last year with Donovan Ezraku, who's going to be a really good and nice pass rush specialist. But that was with our mindset of him being the third defensive end, not him being the first or the second best defensive end on the team. So I think TJ Parker, you have to look at a lot of those Clemson defensive players, whether that was Peter Woods, Avion Terrell. You look at any of those Clemson players in last year's, just the past years of college football in 2025, they all had a down year. So they're saying, hey, it was the defensive coordinator's fault. A lot of them had expectations. They lost early. They weren't looking really good. And so we have to look at players like TJ Parker, Peter Woods, and Avion Terrell kind of with a side eye, like, you guys were projected to be some of the best college football players coming into this year. You guys didn't have the year that you did, and you guys didn't look as good. So, a lot of scouts and a lot of different teams are going to be looking at TJ Parker and a lot of those Clemson defenders. So, if we got TJ Parker, Sonny Styles, I will like the draft so far. You know what I mean? And then you still have pick 92 via Santa Clara, and then you got pick 112. You pick in the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th. So I think you'll be just fine. But I think overall, if the Dallas Cowboys can get really good defenders in the next, in the first 2 days of the NFL draft and get really good impact like players, I think the Dallas Cowboys will be fine, in my personal opinion. But we're going to find out. We're going to see if the Dallas Cowboys really have the stomach to trade up for a player. And if they do, I think it should be for 4 players I already talked about. Either the O-State kids in Arvo Reese or Downs, Bain out of Miami, or Bailey out of Tech. That's about it in my opinion. So that's about it for the video. Hope you guys have a nice day. Stay safe, stay blessed. Bye.